Hey everybody, Luigi Scarcelli here. Welcome to Saturday Night Special. It's once again a rarity that you would see me on the Saturday Night Special show. Usually I'm on Friday p.m. We reserve Saturday Night Special for concerts and comedy, but this was a very special occasion where I wanted to bring the comedian on the show and talk a little bit about your background because the comedy special on YouTube has already blown up big. Yeah, it's very exciting. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Sarah Poulin. Sarah is a local comedian, albeit I think you're expanding your region quite a bit.
I have, yeah. I've been all over New England for the last few years. Yeah.
And the comedy special was filmed at the Coolidge Family Farm. A lot of fun. It's kind of the first time I think they've done a comedy show there.
It was their first time. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it went really well.
Yeah, and you were opening for Nick Gordon.
Yes.
And also we had last week we just had the guys from the Doorknob Band on. Yeah, and they were a lot of fun.
I love them.
Very crazy guys. So you've been in the comedy scene now for probably, I would guess, less than a decade, but somewhere between.
Less than a decade. It was 4 years in April.
Okay.
I had been doing comedy. So I started out taking a stand-up comedy writing class to just kind of see if I liked stand-up comedy. I've been acting my whole life and singing in bands and things like that. So it wasn't a huge stretch to jump into comedy, although it is kind of terrifying because you're just like out there by yourself trying to figure it out. There's nobody, no other actors to support you or a band to support you. So it was kind of like a scary thing for me to do. But I took the writing class and I enjoyed it so much. And at the time that I was taking the class, there were mentors that came in and gave us notes.
Okay.
And one of the mentors is Mark Turcotte, who was a local comedian who's been around for 4 decades.
For decades.
Very successful. And he said to me after watching my 5 minutes, you know, you were really good at this. Come and do a show. So he gave me, like, right out of my class a 5-minute guest spot, which I was like, I didn't realize how big a deal that was at the time. I realize now that that's kind of a big deal. And went out and just had so much fun doing it and just kept doing it. He kept giving me spots and then he gave me a hosting spot. And I was just like, this is I could not love this more than I do. And just kept going with it. And I have been going for the last 4 years.
Yeah, that's cool. It was trial by fire with him.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, it got you into it. So let's go over kind of like your story a little bit, because it'll be interesting to lead up to that, because I'd like to ask about, you know, what type of singing, what type of acting and all that. But you were born in Maine or?
No, I was born in Grand Forks, North Dakota.
Okay, so that's like very
miles from here. Yeah. So my dad was stationed there in the Air Force. And so I'm a Air Force brat. So we moved all around. I grew up mostly in North Dakota until I was like 4 or 5, and then we moved back to Maine, and my dad was stationed up north.
Okay.
And then he retired from the military, and my family just stayed in northern Maine.
Yeah. So that's I remember when I was younger, I saw an interview with a show called Later with Bob Costas. And he had Tom Hanks on, and Tom Hanks started talking about being a military kid too. And I started realizing a lot about the idea that kids that are parents in the military, they become very well adapted at because they're always having to move somewhere new and reinvent themselves, and so that probably added to a lot of your ability to, you know, read an audience or see who was who. Right. So what age were you kind of as a how long were you in North Dakota before being in Maine full time?
I think I was about 4 before we came back.
Yeah, so you had a little memory of there. And you have relatives there, or just because he was stationed there?
No, that was where he was stationed. All my parents' family is from Maine. So that was why we came back to Maine.
Okay,
just to have that kind of support. But you totally nailed it when you say, I mean, we're like chameleons. We can go into any room and make friends with anybody, or know, like, okay, no, we're supposed to be quiet right now. Like, we can tell, like, we can read a room really easily.
It's like the comedy club is almost like a cafeteria. You know, when you're in high school, and walk in, try to figure out read the room of everybody. Sit with them. Are they cool?
Yeah.
So then you went to high school. Were you? Because you live in Lewiston now.
I live in Auburn now.
Auburn, okay.
So from northern Maine, Aroostook County, and a lot of people say they're from Aroostook County, but I'm really from Aroostook County, like up on the border near Canada.
Okay.
So from there, I went to college at the University of Maine in Machias, which is out on the coast.
Yep.
And then from the University of Maine in Machias, I moved here to Portland.
Okay, yeah.
And at the time that we were looking for a house, the market here had gone insane. And so we bought an apartment building in Auburn.
In Auburn,
in
okay.
2007. And
Yep.
that's where I have been ever since.
Yeah, and that's kind of what's interesting is the even by 2007 in Portland, things had already started to going to where it is nowadays. So you talk a lot about, it's no secret in the comedy club that you had a divorce during COVID. We're going to be seeing that shortly. So stay tuned, because what we're going to do is we're going to have a little bit of interview. We're going to do a little comedy and come back, have a little interview.
Sounds good.
Was that a pivotal moment in your life? Was that before? It was right around when you started doing comedy, or?
So it was, So in February of 2020, I had this realization of like, oh my gosh, my son is going to graduate from high school. I have no idea who I am or what I like. And I started kind of exploring what sorts of things made me happy. And unfortunately, the things that were feeding my soul were not working for the person that I was with,
right? Sadly.
And so we had kind of come to the decision that we would just kind of wait it out and see what happened. But eventually, at the end of 2020, we did decide to get a divorce.
Yeah.
And in 2021 is when I started comedy and started writing. And kind of started exploring that a little bit more.
Kind of broke out of the thing, a little bit.
I think it is probably true for both men and women, but for women especially, we take on that role of being a mom and being a wife. And then when those things are kind of coming, not necessarily to a close, but like the chapters are shifting, my son's going off to college, we start to kind of question, like, what are we even doing?
Right, exactly. Right. Yeah. In priorities shift, and you don't have to be, because I know you're very close with your son.
Yes.
And you talk about him in the special as well. That he's been in Farmington, is that?
Farmington? You're right, it is Farmington.
Farmington, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And so is he studying? My dad was a professor in Farmington of art. He's long since retired, but I am thinking that your son wants to be a teacher, maybe, or?
That is the general study there, but he's actually studying, he's part of the ORBA program, which is the Outdoor Recreation Business Administration program.
Okay.
So his goal is to be able to go into any financial situation and take control.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
So why don't we take a look at the first part of the comedy special, and we'll come back, because I want to talk to you about the music, the acting, all those other creative things that you were doing that also led to it, and what the scene is like in Lewiston currently.
Sounds good.
Great. Well, stick with us. We'll be right back. Check this out.
You guys are fantastic. Thank you so much for having us. I'm excited to... Thanks. You guys have been here since like 6, so... They got the comfy seats. This is what happens. Good for you guys. Guys, there's a lady at my work who doesn't like babies. Okay, phew. I was waiting to see how many of you were going to go and clutch your pearls before I told you it's me. I don't like babies. I don't like babies because they have a self-destruct button on the back of their head. There's a little soft spot. If you touch it, they break. Scares me. I don't like that. Somebody brought their amateur human into the office. And that's how I discovered that I no longer have an affinity for babies. And also didn't understand why you would bring a baby to the office, right? Because that seems weird. But then I found out that the baby's name was Barbara, right? So she was obviously there for a job interview. Who names a baby Barbara? Right? Barbara works in human resources. That's why she was there. That baby's name was Barbara. She's married to Gary. Also not a baby name. I had baby. I have an empty nest. Do we have any empty nesters? Okay. Do y'all know what it is? Everybody knows what an empty nest is, right? Well, I have to ask you, I did a show at a kombuchery in Portland. Just a sea of 20-year-olds looking at me with confusion. So I explained an empty nest is a person who has had children who have left home. Grown children have gone away from home. And again, just a sea of confusion. Because they were like, wait, we leave? Yes, my babies. Yeah, so I have an empty nest. I raised 2 boys. I have he just turned 21. Hasn't been sober for 2 weeks. I don't know. I'm just kidding. He's great. He's actually an awesome kid. He's really smart, Really funny, really cool kid. He's a junior at the University of Maine at Farmington. Yeah. Go Beavers! Oh, yeah. That's their mascot. The Regal Beaver is the mascot of the University of Maine at Farmington. Did I have a good time in their bookstore? Oh, they've got the beaver merch, you guys. They've got water bottles so you can keep your beaver hydrated. Yep, blankets so you can keep your beaver warm. Very important. They have beaver scented candles. They smell like pine. Yeah. In case you were worried, because I know I fucking was. Popped the lid off that sucker and I was like, oh, it's okay. It's just trees. Whew. My personal favorite thing that they have in the bookstore at the University of Maine at Farmington is the t-shirt that reads, "A clean beaver is a healthy beaver." Oh, yes, it is. That is where my tuition money is going. University of Maine at Farmington. It's good. That's the 21-year-old. He's on a good path. I'm excited for him. He's going to do great things. The 45-year-old that I have been raising for the last 20 plus years, I'm not so sure. He's moved in with his 22-year-old girlfriend, and our divorce is now final. So. That's usually met with groans, which I think is the right response. I think it is. But here's the thing. You can groan and be disappointed in him, but you will never be more disappointed in him than I am. Facts are facts. He does like much younger women. It's kind of like futons, right? Like you can, men in their 40s dating women in their 20s is like futons, because you could put that futon out on the side of the road and some 20-year-old's gonna pick it up and take it home. She's gonna put it in her apartment. She doesn't mind the dings and scratches. She doesn't care where it's been. Pays for dinner. She's fine. It's also like futons in that we all know it's happening, but no one's comfortable. It's fine. It's really okay. He can date much younger women. It actually gives us something that we have in common, because I can still give him parenting advice. So. We decided in February of 2020 that we were going to get a divorce. Do you guys remember March of 2020? Oh, yeah, you do. Yeah, in February of 2020, we decided we could no longer stand to be in the same room together. And the universe was like, big fuck you. Yeah, you do. You got to stay in the same room together indefinitely. So we did it. We nested. That's what they call it. Nested for 9 months. We lived together after we decided to get a divorce, which was actually really good for us because it gave us a chance to remember that we like each other as people. He's a good person. I'm a good person. And we're really good parenting partners, right? And I have to say all of that nice stuff because it is part of our settlement agreement. So. You guys are going to have to sign something on your way out. Just say that I did it. We're good to go. I don't think that I could date somebody who's that much younger than me, and there's a couple of reasons, but the primary reason being I remember being in my 20s. Do you all remember being in your 20s? Yeah, you do. Were you as dumb as I was? Were you? I was so stupid in my 20s. I thought I knew everything there was to know about everything. I knew jack shit. I knew nothing. And the reason I can say that with confidence, because at one point, my husband looked at me. Yeah, he's my husband. And I'm living my best after wife. My husband looked at me as I said something to him. He stopped what he was doing. He turned and he looked at me and he said, "What did you just say?" And I said, "I don't understand where Alaska is in the ocean." And he said, and I said, "Well, it's on the map next to Hawaii." but I don't understand where it is in the ocean. Never mind, it has a very straight border with Canada, which is where it is, by the way, and is about a third of the size of our country. I thought, because it was on the map next to Hawaii, that Alaska was an island. Apparently, we did not have globes in northern Maine, where I went to school. Because when I told him that, he said, ooh, you know what? It's probably best if you never, ever tell anyone that you thought that. I just told all of you. It's fun. Being in your 20s is rough. My mom actually saw a picture of my husband's current girlfriend on Facebook. You know what she said? She goes, oh, she's cute. My mom is so good. She's so nice. But then she followed it up with this, you guys. She goes, yeah. I said, Mom, she is really cute. She goes, yeah, she is. You know what, though? She kind of looks like you at that age. What the fuck, Mom? You guys, my mom is a therapist. Welcome to my journey. Yeah, I wasn't very smart in my 20s. It's okay, because I did marry the right person, because at one point I had to explain to my ex-husband that free-range chickens are not homeless. Because that's what he thought. He was like, they have homes, but it was kind of funny in my head. I was like, what if they got into a fight with the farmer? They're like, you're not my real dad! Just stormed off on their little chicken legs. Got little chicken tattoos. On one little wing, it just says, Mama tried. And on the other little wing, it just says, Purdue grade A. Those are chickens. I don't know. Oh, yeah. I thought about being a cougar. Can't do it. I can't. A friend of mine was like, I don't think you'd be a very good cougar. And I was like, what do you mean? And she was like, well, you're too kind. You're a little too nurturing to be a cougar. She said the average age gap between the cougar and her prey is approximately 25 to 30 years. Right? Gross. Because as you know, I have a 21-year-old son. Right? If you take my age, which by the way is 48. What? There it is. That was the right response. She understood the assignment. Anytime any woman over the age of 40 tells you how old she is, that's the right response. We will also accept, no. Or, oh my God, look at your skin. We'll take any of that. Right? Am I right? We'll take any of those. Any of those will work for us. We'll take any of them. If you do the math and you take that 25 to 30 years age gap away from my 48 years on Earth, you find that that puts my prey between the ages of 18 and 23. Now you understand why it's so icky, because I do have that 21-year-old living with me at home, and I can honestly tell you, there's no way I want to have sex with somebody that young. And the reason I know that is because in all the many years that my son brought his friends home to our house, not once did I look at them and go, yeah, that's a good idea. Nope. There's no way I want to have sex with someone that young. There is, however, a very good possibility that I would like to make him a sandwich. Because that's my love language. I told that joke at a late night bar in Manchester, New Hampshire. Just a room full of 20-something guys, and this one little cutie in the front row looks up at me and he goes, what kind of sandwich? I said, anything you want, I'll even cut off the crusts. It was very cute. Yeah, can't date a younger man. I thought about dating older men too, but I don't like to eat dinner at 4 p.m. And also not a fan of the Applebee's 2-for-1 special. Especially now that I've heard Doorknob's song. Not a fan. Don't love pudding. Don't love pudding. And if I wanted to watch baseball documentaries, I'd just hang out with my real dad. Yeah, right? Because he doesn't make me call him daddy, so. That's good. I have been dating since the divorce. It's weird. Now it's very different. I went out with a guy and I thought the date was going pretty well. When our server walked away, though, he looked at me and he said, you don't look like the kind of woman who eats cheeseburgers. What does she look like? I don't know what she looks like. I know what I do look like, though. I look like the kind of woman who says she is going to the bathroom, but then just doesn't come back. She's adorable. I met a guy who had similar interests to me, enjoyed hiking. We both had dogs. I adopted a pit bull mix after my divorce. I think the Humane Society got a little confused because I spend an awful lot of time as an emotional support human to a very neurotic pit bull. It's okay. He likes to be outside. My significant other at the time liked being outside. We went out on a few dates with our dogs in the woods. And he said to me one day as we were walking, after not knowing each other for very long, said, I really appreciate how well you take care of yourself. You exercise a lot. You eat well. You're in really good shape for a woman your age. No. You see the mistake right there, right? You see it. Also, not the best place to insult a woman when you're out in the woods. Guys, just so you know, not the best place to do that. And also, here's what I have also learned in my 48 years on Earth, and that is that people who are wearing Crocs, and I apologize to any of you, people who are wearing Crocs do not get to talk about the health and the fitness level of other people. It's not permitted. Also learned that Crocs are not biodegradable, because that's all they found out there in the woods. I'm kidding. I would never. I did go out on one really good date, though, post-divorce. This is where technology is different. The last time I dated, the person I married, had a pager. I know. This was pre-cell phones, 1998. Did not have a cell phone, had a pager. He was not a doctor or a drug dealer. Weird. So now we have like constant contact with each other, constant texts and Snapchat and all of it. We're like constantly contacting each other. And I just have a question for the ladies in the audience who are in the dating pool right now. And gentlemen too, you can weigh in if that's your thing. How do we feel about dick pics? Nope. Right? We get to a certain point in our lives where we're like, I don't really need to see that first thing in the morning. Right? And it's always first thing in the morning, right? Always first thing in the morning. Here's my thing, though. If you're going to send me a picture of sausage, it should be accompanied by a waffle and a mimosa. Because all I want to do is go to brunch. Right? That's what we want to do. We want to go to brunch. That's the thing we like. Not sausage first thing in the morning.
Hey, everybody, we're back again. I hope you liked the first part of the comedy special.
Me too.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So I was curious to find out when you talked about, because I think most of the audience, they know how really so much difficulty that goes into being a stand-up comic. Because like you said, where you're up there on the stage, there's no net, right? It's really just you. Yeah. And if you're not, the buck stops with yourself on there because, there's nobody else to blame, right? So with the idea that you were doing singing, acting, was that in bands? Was that on stage? Or?
Yeah. So in college, all through high school, and then in community theater, I've been acting. And then when I lived here in Portland in 2001, I joined a band called Rick Wormwood and the Rumbling Proletariat.
Oh, okay.
We've played all over Portland, Ruski's, which is the tiniest spot, but Gino's when it was down on Brown Street. We've, the Free Street Tavern when it was open. We played all over Portland. I've been in every dirty bar in the city. Yeah,
right. All of the rough and tumble. Now, what was the sound of these guys? Kind of hard rock, punk rock? Or
Rock.
Yeah,
like
rock.
Think Jay Giles band or early Bruce Springsteen, stuff like that.
Okay,
yeah. Just and all original music. Rick wrote all of our music and we performed. At times there were like 8 of us. We had keyboard, saxophone, trumpets, backup singers, bass, rhythm. Everybody was there. Like we had a big band for a long time. Just kind of all over Portland.
So now, do you feel that was what helped you, like right out of the gate, that you didn't feel that nervousness because you're used to that many eyes on you? I feel like that's one of the biggest things that people have to be able to get over by doing this type of stuff, is because part of it is you need to be able to be yourself on stage because that's what people can relate to. But if people are a bundle of nerves or something, that might cover up any. So did you feel that you had a little bit more because you'd work the crowd too in between songs? And,
I think that is a huge part of of performing is your stage presence. Performing as a comedian is your stage presence. And I've had many people say to me, how is it possible that you've only been doing stand-up comedy for 4 years?
Right. Yeah.
That part is taken care of with the acting and in the singing and performing. Like, you're right, 100%.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
That's easy, but you still have to come at it with really good material.
Right.
You still have to be really likable and really relatable. Like, people will tune out. No matter how funny you are, if you're not likable, people will tune out.
Yeah. Yeah. And I noticed that with, right out of the gate, you're kind of like treating the audience like they're your friend at a bar.
Yeah.
Hey guys, let me tell you a little something. And that instantly brings the people in. You're a relatable person because, you're not coming across as like a snobby or too much because I do feel that there's also that like the almost the aura or the image of the person. I feel like in comedy with male comedians, like you probably can't be too good looking. Maybe the same with female comedians. And you need to be able to have the audience like, because it's a lot of couples.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's one of the psychology is like, for a male comedian, if he's better looking than the guy who's on the date with the girl at the bar, the guy isn't going to want to, he's like, why
He's
should
not
I?
gonna wanna laugh.
I should. So a lot of the guys that are male comedians are more kind of they're not threatening.
Yeah.
And so there's so many different things that go into it. And do you find that your persona on stage is just an expression of yourself, or do you try to?
I do think I'm pretty authentic out
Yeah.
there on stage. My goal when I hit the stage is to be likable, to make people like me. I want women to want to be my friend. I want men to be like, oh, she's cute. I like her. I know that sounds so silly, but that's how you draw people in. You get them in and they like you, and then they start to listen and they start to laugh.
Right.
Yeah.
And so do you do something else by day, kind of, or you?
I do.
Yeah.
So I have actually, I've come to a place now where I am working full-time at one position and part-time at another position. So I work for Lamy Wellahan Footwear. I'm their women's footwear buyer. So
Okay.
I spend all day in an office.
Yeah, buying and picking shoes.
Picking out shoes. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
That's my everyday job. And then I work with Mark Turcott. He and I did a morning radio show together for 3 years.
I remember that.
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
and our radio station sadly closed.
Right.
And so he and I have just taken it upon ourselves to do a daily podcast every day. So I'm up every morning doing that with him too.
That is awesome. Yeah. And it's like a morning kind of podcast feel.
It's Lydia's Lunch Bunch. It's LA's afternoon morning show.
Yeah,
is what we
yeah.
call it, because we record in the morning
Yeah.
and we put it out around 11. But it's just basically businesses and people in the area who are part of our community doing cool things. And we just sit down and talk with them and share what's going on. And it's a lot of fun.
So is Mark also in the LA area? Is that where he's based too? Yeah.
Mark's
Okay.
out of Lewiston.
And when we say LA to all of our viewers,
not that LA.
not LA, right? Lewiston, Auburn.
Lewiston, Auburn.
Which has had some ups and downs, obviously, in the past few years.
Yep.
And so being somebody right in the middle of that, I'm sure that was super scary. And that's another thing that comedy helps people get over these kind of things. That was big after like 9/11 or things. Is like, what's the first, ability to be funny again? And so let's talk a little bit about the comedy scene in Lewiston, because I know you've been right at the forefront of all of that with a core group of people. So do you want to talk a little bit about that kind of universe?
I mean, I definitely started there. The first year of doing comedy, it was almost all primarily in Lewiston, Auburn. It's a great scene. We have a comedy club, Great Falls Comedy Club.
Yeah.
And then there are small businesses throughout the area that kind of support stand-up comedy, which is awesome. Leonard Kimball and Nick Gordon run Great Falls Comedy Club. They have been working really hard with Craft Brew Underground, which is like where they're actually homed, to kind of create a space that's comfortable and very good for comedy, like nice low ceilings, dark bricks.
Exactly.
It's just like, it's that kind of place that a comic comes from LA and they're like, the other LA.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're like, no, this is really cool. New York comedians come up and they're like, this is a great spot. So that's fantastic. And then throughout, doing that, because they have big people coming up from Boston, I get to meet and have gotten to meet lots of other comedians who also book shows, which is how I've sort of branched out into meeting people and like working all over New England. Yeah. I mean, it's almost like you couldn't have designed a better club for just being small enough, the acoustics, there's no version of carpeting. So every laugh is going to bounce off of numerous walls. And it so you might get a crowd in there of, 40 or 50 people.
but it sounds, roaring.
Yeah.
And so it's a great spot. I mean, and again, it's a lot of fun with those guys. So now with kind of taking that to the next chapter, is that what's kind of on your 5-year plan now that you're able to expand through opening for other people too? Because I know, Lewiston has got a really great scene because it's loyal. I think most people still are feeling like whatever happened to Portland scene.
Yeah.
But so as you go on beyond all that, what are your kind of goals and ideas?
So I'm really giving that a whole lot of thought. I'm
Right,
a very
yeah.
in the moment
Yeah,
person.
yeah.
Anytime I get an opportunity, I'm like, oh wow, me? Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
right.
One of my favorite venues that I've ever done was a show for Jim McHugh at the Katharine Hepburn Theater down in Old Saybrook, Connecticut. And it was like, I hit that stage and it was just like, oh my gosh, this is the coolest thing ever. Like this feels like the real deal. And like, the more I can grab that and hold on to that, that's definitely part of my 5-year
Yeah,
plan.
exactly. Right.
But just, people offer me shows and I say yes.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say no. I'm not going to say no to a venue that's small or a crowd that's small or, a show that has only 1 or 2 people I know on it. I'm going to say yes to pretty much anything just because comedy is all about repetition.
Yes.
And it's about stretching what you're comfortable with. I'm not necessarily for everybody. I get that my comedy hits a certain demographic for sure, but I want to be able to stretch it out and see, well, what can I do that works for a different demographic or a different group of people? And so I think saying yes means that you get to try it out. Like I've done shows at bars out in Standish.
Exactly,
where,
right.
People are only half listening and they're there to have a beer and hang out with their friends. And then every once in a while you'll get a from the back of the room and you're like, okay. I can do this.
Yep.
So, I'm just down to go everywhere. I want to just keep doing comedy and keep making people laugh. Like that's my 5-year plan.
Well, so I had 2 questions for you because I know you got to get to the next gig that you're doing. And
yes.
So the one was a question and kind of statement in its own way, but because I know that you work so closely with the guys at the Craft Brew Underground, you found that that's helped because you're able to get the reps in. You're able to just churn it out, which you need, right? To get that 4 years to not be the person who's still learning the craft after 12 years.
Right.
You've kind of been able to warp speed it a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. Well, and I think that goes back to that repetition thing. Like it doesn't matter where you do it as long as you just keep doing it. And it doesn't really matter whether or not people laugh. Like if you just keep working on something, you just keep toning it and tuning it and figuring out what
and the little tiny
the
piece.
Little things, if you think it's funny, it's probably funny, but you just have to figure out what makes it funny and give that to other people.
Right.
And doing open mics and going to, like coming here to Portland to Empire to open mics, Craft Brew Underground, the Comedy Mill in Biddeford, like going to all of those places and trying that same material, do the same material, do the same 5 minutes until you can't stand that 5 minutes. But it makes people laugh.
Right.
Tune it up and make it perfect. And then once you have that, move on and do 10 minutes. But just keep going to those open mics and just keep trying. And open mics are tough because it's mostly comics. And we're not there to watch you.
Exactly.
We're there to work on our stuff.
Right,
and so you're getting people who are half listening and half paying attention. But honestly, if you can make a comic laugh from the back of the room, you definitely have something.
Right. And they always say, like, because I'm not a comedian, but I'm like a writer, filmmaker, all the same headspace, which is that certain people like us, we never will laugh, but we will like check the box in our mind. We'll respect it. Oh yeah.
Or you might get a head nod.
Yeah, exactly. That was good because they're so critical and they're dissecting it. That it's as if you just created a beautiful dish as a chef and you give it to a scientist. And instead of eating it and enjoying it, they're going to pick apart and see what's going on. Let me look under the microscope. Yeah, exactly. What are the every little thing under the dissecting of it? So last question for you. What is for other people out there, because everybody's, this is a thing that a lot of people would love to be able to do. Part of it's the writing. Is there a writing process that you go through that stands out? Or I've talked to different people, and some people have the old school where they always have a little notebook and they're trying to write down everything. I mean, how do you go about creating the jokes?
So the writing process is different for everybody. For me, I often will get a funny idea in the shower, which is tough. And then I'll have to yell, "Hey Siri, take a note." And she'll take a note. And then I'll have to remember what it was that I wanted her to take the note about. But for me, it just starts with an idea. I'll write down something, and it's almost always personal. It's something where I'm like I have a joke that I do about babies. And that came from me sitting at my desk one day going, why would you bring a baby to an office? And then the realization of like, I am old. I don't even like babies anymore.
Right, exactly,
You know, and then that's funny. Like you can make that funny because truthfully, I do like babies. I just in that moment was like, ugh, babies. But that's funny. And I think you just take that idea and you dig around and you poke it and you roll it out and you flatten it and you're like, all right, is it or is it not funny? And then you just keep adding on it. And there are jokes that I've been doing for 4 years where I'll just be like, you know what would be funnier? And then I change that joke that I've been doing consistently for 4 years to something totally different. Or take a piece from one joke and put it into another joke and sort of like, that's like next level is when you start tying those jokes together. Pulling out old tags and like sort of weaving it together like a fabric.
Yeah, like a collage in a sense.
What goes here and what goes there and would this be better here? Yeah.
Taking real life experiences and kind of seeing like, what if you dial it up, you know, to 11?
To the extreme.
Yeah, exactly. What would,
That's the thing about comedy. Like people see you do comedy and they're like, is that real? It's not real.
Right, exactly.
It came out of something real, but it's obviously not 100% truthful. Like it wouldn't be, some things are, but it wouldn't entirely be funny if it was 100% truthful.
Right, and that's, and there's the rules of comedy, I think, is that there's no rules.
There is no rules.
Some people kind of just do very straight ahead things, some people's stories, some people jokes. I was watching a guy recently that had some stuff that he was just completely out there, a guy from New York, Dan Licata, and he's been on a couple of the bigger shows, and he had a comedy special, but, and he's just going in stuff that doesn't make any sense. But it's funny because his character is so crazy. Yeah. So it's all different styles, and what I love about the Maine comedy scene is there's people at all kinds of different levels, and everybody seems to work well together, and it's rising up. I think it's very cool, and so I'm really excited about the comedy scene. I'm excited about what you're doing. I just want to see if you can let everybody know how they can find out more about you, like on social media.
Yeah. You can follow me. It's Sarah Poulin on Facebook and on Instagram at Sarah-Karen4406.
Awesome. So thank you so much. I appreciate it. Well, so let's go back and see the tail end of the comedy special.
Awesome.
But I want to thank you guys again. Watch us next week for more comedy and musical fun. Take care. Thanks.
I got a text from a guy who was like, hey, do you want to go do some day drinking? And I was like, heck yeah, I do. Didn't look all the way down at the bottom of the text. Again, technology getting in my way. The location happened to be a yoga studio. We were going to a Bend and Brew. Have you ever heard of that? You get drunk and do yoga. Guys. After an afternoon of day drinking, my mental and physical stability are not in the place for yoga. Okay? Poor decisions were made, and the only position that I mastered was the one-night stand. I know. He preferred the downward dog. In the end, we were both just like, namaste, single. I didn't stay single, actually. I just recently moved in with a person that I've been dating for quite some time, mostly because his mom was getting kind of tired of his bullshit. Also, I really love him, so there's that. I know. I guess that's a better reason. I am finding some red flags now that we've been together for a while, though, and he's moved in with me, things I didn't notice before. I want you guys to weigh in. This one really weirds me out. He uses the decorative pillows to sleep on. This is a red flag, right, ladies? This is a red flag. We're not sure about this one. He uses the decorative pillows for sleeping. I don't love that. It's something I can overlook. Maybe it's a beige flag. We'll see. He also does not have a voicemail set up on his phone. You can't leave a message. How weird is that? And I understand, like, I've texted him 10 times today. We have a Snapchat stream that's going for like 3 weeks now. Instagram, constantly. Facebook Messenger. everything else except for a voice message. And now you guys know my red flag because I have overwhelmed him with my interest. Here's the final red flag, and that is that I took him to Trader Joe's. Ladies, do you love Trader Joe's? It's it's the middle-aged ladies' church, right? It is. Like, we love going to Trader Joe's. We love it. I love it. There's plenty of wine. This is how it's like church. Plenty of wine and dry crackers for all of us. I go more during the holidays. I try to get there every Sunday. Like, this is my church. I'm really good at Trader Joe's. I can get into the parking lot, into the store, buy flowers, wine, and food all within a half an hour if I go by myself. I took him to Trader Joe's with me for the first time. We were in there for an hour and 45 minutes. He picked up every package of JoJo's cookies that they have. At one point, he was gone for 20 minutes. I was ready to take a taller, better-looking significant other home with me because they're all over the place in there, right? They're all over the place. They're everywhere. He comes back. He has the biggest jar of pickles I've ever seen. The biggest jar of pickles I've ever seen. A jug of maple syrup and 3 bottles of wine. What crazy-ass plan does he have, you guys? Here is the last of the red flags. I woke up the other morning and he was just staring at me. That's sweet, right? He goes, "You're so peaceful while you're sleeping." Okay. And then he starts stroking my eyebrow. And he goes, "Your eyebrows are like comets shooting across your face." And I thought to myself, he's gonna murder me. He's gonna murder me. I'm gonna tell you one last story, and then I'm gonna let you guys meet your headliner for tonight. I feel like I lost you guys with the "I don't like babies," so I'll tell you a story about being an excellent parent. I feel like they should ask you a lot more questions at the hospital, right? When they give you a baby to take home and raise for the next 18 to 44 years. They should ask you more questions. They just ask you one. Do you have a car seat? That's all they want to know. Not, do you have a felony? Which seems like a fairly important question to ask, right? Nope. Do you have a car seat? I did have a car seat. I did not know how to use it, and we walked home from Maine Medical Center. But a better question when you're about to have a baby in the hospital is, how long have you kept a betta fish alive? Right? Betta fish live in the wild, in puddles. They drink mud. They can live for years on their own. Something happens to them when you bring them into your house. Something terrible. Particularly my house. I have been able to keep a betta fish alive for only 8 years. It's impressive. It's also a lie. But if you see my son, please don't tell him. Here's what I did. Every time my son's betta fish would die, I would scoop it out of the bowl and I would flush it. And then I would tell him, this angel born to me on earth, that his betta fish had gone on vacation to Petco. Right? And after a week's time, I would take my son to Petco to pick his fish up from its vacation. Thank you. Thank you. We walked the aisles. I wouldn't remember what the fish looked like, but I knew he would, and he would pick out his fish. We would take it to the counter, and we would pay for its vacation. Yeah. The average cost of a betta fish vacation is $5.95. I don't know if you guys know this, but sometimes when betta fish go on vacation, they change color. Yep. Brought it home, plop it in the bowl, did the whole thing all over again for 8 years. And then when my son went to college, his freshman year, I said, "Baby, what do you want to take with you to make your dorm room feel more like home?" And he said, "A betta fish." Shit. I could have told him then. I could have just said, "Ooh, I don't know if you really want a betta fish," but I didn't. I helped him out. I took him to Petco. We bought him a It's called a half moon betta fish. It was $29, y'all. Yep. Beautiful fish. Bought the whole shebang, everything he needed, all the food. He bought little things for enrichment that kept this fish entertained. I tell you all of this to let you know that he took very good care of this fish, very good care of this fish, and he kept it alive the entire school year. Right? Impressive. He brought it home to my house for summer break. 2 weeks and that fucking fish went on vacation. To my point, here is how I know they should ask you more questions at the hospital. Because when my son came to me distraught and said, Mama, I don't understand, we had the same betta fish for 8 years. I could have come clean, but I did not. I chose further deception and instead said to this beautiful child of mine, I don't know, baby, some people are just better at betta fish. I am a terrible parent, but an excellent liar. They should ask you more questions. I taught my son that lesson. I also convinced he and his entire preschool class of this lie, and that is that when the ice cream truck is playing its music, they are out of ice cream. You can use that one. It's very helpful. Thank you guys so much. It has been a blast. I have been Sarah Poulin. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Hey, just to let you guys know, we are here every Thursday night, 6 to 9. We invite you to bring anything you want, but I'll supply everything if you bring nothing. I have it all. And we don't always have a film crew here, but tonight we do have a film crew. What are you going to do?
Cowbell?
Cowbell Scarborough, right here out on the terrace. Hey, if it's raining, we're inside, so...
Yes.
Come on now.
Oh, will you tuck me in at least? Will you tuck me in at least?
Wash your face and head out in the kitchen. Wash your face and head. Come on up, baby, do some more romance. Well, now, see, let it roll. Let it roll. Let it roll. Let it roll. Run that baby out. When those little letters have come down the road. got the ending right.
What kind of?
Come on, we're gonna jam out now. Hey! Come on now. Hey! What you got, boy? I'm thinking about tomorrow when you're everything about. And you know about this house. And you're coming across this town, baby, come home. Hey, come home. Haven't really come along. Now, baby, come and take me down. Take a minute, baby, honey. What you really gonna do? Come and take me, let me, honey. What you really gonna do? Won't get to know. Hey, oh, you gotta know. Hey, I'm thinking about tomorrow. Now, baby, come and take me down. Hey. Come on, Chris. Come on, give a round of applause for this band that's here tonight. How we all doing? Are we doing well? I like it. Now, baby, come and take me down. Oh, you're gonna take me down. Honey, please don't walk a mile. Baby, I know. Now take me, take me, take me. Now take me, take me, take me. Now take me down tonight. We really gonna go, baby. Right home. Come on, Chris. Let me see what you can do right now.